Hi everybody. So here we are with our second session related to database management system. And in last lecture we talked about various things, characteristics of database and concepts of database as well. So let us continue with our this session. Okay, first of all, let us look at our agenda for this particular lecture. In this lecture, we will talk about data independence, then we'll also talk about physical and logical data independence. Then we will see components of database. So there are 6 different components related with the database. And finally, we will look at the database architecture and understand the concepts of one tier, two tier, three tier. All right. So let us continue with our session. First of all, let us talk about what is data independence. As such, we already saw in our last lecture that what is data independence, but let us continue with this again. Data independence is the ability to make changes to data characteristics without have to make changes to the program that access the data. It is a property of database management system that helps you to change the database schema at one level of database system without requiring to change the schema at the next higher level. So data independence helps to keep data separated from all programs that make use of it. So it provides immunity to user applications to changes made in the definition and organization of the data. And any kind of changes you make in data should not be affected in the codes that you have written. So application program should not ideally be exposed to details of data representation and storage. Data independence can be explained using this three schema architecture diagram, and it is an idea in relational database design that breaks the database down into three different categories according to its use and structure. First is this external level, logical level, and physical level. And between external level and logical level is the logical data independence, and between logical level and physical level is the physical data independence. Now, if you look at these, like these three different categories according to its use and structure, and to the roles played by system administrators, designers, and end users. Logical and physical data independence, how they are different from each other and what they are exactly. Let us talk about that. Physical data independence, it is the ability to modify the physical schema without causing application programs to be rewritten. And in case of logical data independence, it is the ability to modify the logical schema without causing application program to be rewritten. So physical data independence is related with the modification of physical schema, and logical data independence is related with the logical schema. Now, if you look at this particular diagram here, okay, there are like users who are using the database. So here the data independence can be explained as ability to modify a schema definition in one level without affecting a schema definition in the other levels. Logical data independence is actually a protection from changes in logical structure of data, and physical data independence is a protection from changes in physical structure of the data. Now, let us talk about drawbacks of conventional file processing system, because normally when you store any detail using any kind of file processing systems, all right, so here you are storing the data in sequential manner. For example, if I want to store information about 100 students, their roll number, their name, their address, and their phone number. So if I store them using any file system, here I am storing the data in sequential manner. So in file system, like it is a collection of data where I can store them in sequential manner. User has to write the procedure to manage this kind of database. It provides the detail of data representation and storage of data. It doesn't have a crash mechanism. If this particular file crash, it is very difficult to recover them. There is no exact mechanism available to recover that. Then difficult to protect a file under the file system. So protection and security is a problem. Then can't efficiently store and retrieve the data. So retrieval is since it is in sequential manner. If you want to get a 50th record, then you have to surf from first record onwards till 49th record, and then you can collect the 50th record. So efficiency of storage and retrieval is a major problem. Concurrent access is also a problem here. Multiple user cannot access this because if someone is using that particular file, it is locked, and concurrent usage is not a problem. Is a problem unless you create a replicas of that, and it again give a higher burden on memory part. All right, so these are the drawbacks of conventional file processing system, and because of these, there exists a need of database management system. And DBMS is actually collection of data. It is like here, the user is not required to write the procedures to access the data. It gives an abstract view of the data. It provides a crash recovery mechanism efficiently. It provides a good protection mechanism, sophisticated techniques to store and retrieve the data, take care of concurrent access of data. So these are the features which are available that was not a part of your file processing system, conventional file processing systems, and because of that, database management system evolved with this kind of concepts, and it cover all the deficiencies which was there in case of file processing system. Now, let us talk about components of database. There are 6 major components of database, and using that we can understand them and explain the database. Actually, the database management system can be divided into this 6 hardware, software, data, procedures, and data access language. Here they are. You have hardware, above that you have a software. Okay, so user is dealing using certain procedures and extract the data using that particular software. All right, so this is how the whole task work. First component is hardware. It involves computer, hard disk, input output channels for data, and any other physical component involved before any data is successfully stored into the memory. Second one is a software. This is the main component, as this is the program which controls everything. The database management system software is capable of understanding the database access language and interpret it into actual database commands to execute them on the database. The third component is data. So data is the resource for which database management system is designed. The motive behind the creation of database management system is to store and utilize the data efficiently. In a typical database management system, the user saved data is present and metadata is stored. So data is available into that, as well as the metadata. Metadata is a data about data. Metadata is a data about the data. This is information stored by the database management system to better understand the data stored in it. Fourth component is the procedures, and procedures refer to general instructions to use a database management system. This include procedures to set up and install a database management system as well. We need to log in and log out of database software to manage database, to take backup, generating reports, etc. All this is part of the procedures. Next one is database access language. So database access language is a simple language designed to write commands to access, insert, update, delete data stored in any database. So it should be able to perform all these operations efficiently. A user can write commands in the database access language and submit it to the database management system for execution, which is then translated and executed by the database management system. User can create new databases, tables, insert data, fetch, store data, update data, and delete the data using the access language. So these are important aspects of database management system, and the final one is a user. So users are important component of database management system, and there are, you can divide users into three categories. The first category of user is database administrator, second is application programmer or software developer, and third one is the end user. So first one, database administrators or DBA popularly known, is the one who manage the complete database management system. DBA takes care of the security of the database management system. It is its availability, managing the license keys, managing user accounts and access controls, etc. The second category of user is application programmer or software developer. This user group is involved in developing and designing the parts of database management system. And third one is end user. The end users are the one who store, retrieve, update and delete the data, who actually deal with the data. They are concerned with using the data. So they are the end users. Now, next is we talk about database architecture. Now, database architecture is actually the DBMS design depends upon its architecture. The basic client server architecture is used to deal with a large number of PCs, web servers, database servers, and other components that are connected with the networks. The client server architecture consists of many PCs and workstations which are connected via the network. So DBMS architecture depends upon how users are connected to the database to get their required request done. Now here the DBMS architecture can be understood into three categories. There are three types of architectures available. First one is the one tier, second tier, two tier, and third one is the three tier one. So database architecture can be seen as a single tier or multi-tier, right? And logically we can look at them or divide them into three categories. The one tier architecture. The one tier architecture, in one tier architecture, the database is directly available to the user. It means the user can directly deal and use the database management system. User can make changes directly on the database itself. It doesn't provide a handy tool for end users. The one tier architecture is used for development of the local application where the programmers can directly communicate with the database for the quick response. Next one is two-tier architecture and three-tier architecture. We will talk about two-tier architecture and three-tier architecture in our next lecture in detail. We conclude our session with this, all right, and we'll meet again in our next lecture and talk about two-tier architecture and three-tier architecture, their differences, and how they are working and how they manage the data in detail. And we will also talk about data models, various data models in our next lecture. So see you soon, very soon in our third session. And in that we will talk about database architecture and some other topics. All right. So have a wonderful day to all of you. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.